This is a look at the coast of South Carolina, and I want you to we're going to look at a very fundamental principle of barrier islands, and that is inlets and inlet dynamics. So we start Bull Island, Isle of Palms, Folly Beach, Kiawah, Edisto Beach. Now, we're going to look at this as a little more detail. And what I want you to notice here is when you look at each of these inlets, you see this on every one of these. And we're going to focus on Stono Inlet. And this is a result of sediment movement, which is dynamic in and out. We have, in an inlet, there's a flood tidal delta and an ebb tidal delta, and the ebb tidal delta results in these formation of these what are called swash bars. But we have dominant longshore sediment transport. Look at the wave action and what happens when the waves, dominant wave, when it hits the bar, the swash bar and so forth here, the ebb tidal delta, the waves get bent. They get refracted and create a high energy point here, and you can see at this point the sediment transport is reversed and goes back into here. In fact, in Charleston, well, on all these islands, the channel, before there was a jetty in Charleston, for example, the channel on all these islands came up here, and the sails, the ships coming would come down, catch this, and come in through that inlet. So that's this phenomenon, and this diagram was developed by Miles Hayes, who did the report on the coastal geology, and it's called the drumstick model. And it's accepted internationally of how this coastal process works. And the first place that the drumstick model shows up in print is in this report. So now let's just see a little dynamics here. So some of you are familiar with this. So we have the longshore transport, and it gets reversed due to the refraction from the sandbar out here, and that causes erosion here. All right. And then the result of that is, this is from Isle of Palms, and it shows the beach line by years. This is 66, 73, and there was a pond on the beach at that time. And then 49, 63, 77, 57, 63, and 68. So, and these are not trivial distances, by the way. So you see, it's dynamic and it's moving. And that goes on at the upper end of every barrier island. Now how this plays out then is, this is a real picture of the tombolo. Now that's a new word for you. T-O-M-B-O-L-O. Right. But that's it. It's this. See, this is the recurve. This is not. This is the transport shift back. That comes out. This moves in. They weld together, and the whole process starts over again. It's a never-ending cycle. And the best example of this is, frankly, is to look at the Isle of Palms, and this is in Wild Dunes, and some of you are familiar with this word. All right, and these are the two lots that were the point of controversy. But the thing that's dramatic here is you say, look, this is the area that we looked at that diagram showing the beach moving back and forth over all those years. That's this. This was not a new phenomenon. And you recognize this phenomenon. This is Capers Inlet. This is Isle of Palms. And this is the area, you see, where the energy comes and impacts. And that moves down the beach, and it'll move back up the beach. This is the way those lots looked in 96, 97. And I want you to think about this. If you look at this, it's It's not, I don't want you to say it as, oh, look at that terrible house and all that. That was done, that was deliberate, it was there. But think of what they had to spend in capital investment to protect that property. Right? And I don't think you all spend that money here. You do a better thing, you can do it with someplace else. All right. So, also, look at this and how that compares with this. All right? Stono Inlet. So this is the east end of Kiawah. There we go. 77, 83, it's come down and welded. 86, we go back through the process. And this bar attached down here in 90. And it's going through the same thing again. So keep that in mind. And that's what I want you to think about here, the history we've had of getting to this point. So, as a compare and contrast, the Wildlands development with Kiawah. They both started at the same time, 74, 75. Both had access to the same public information on the ecological and geological processes of the coastal zone and beaches. However, to me, they had a very different model. Apparently, Wild Dunes selected and decided to ignore that information and develop on a high-density, maximum use of land with little regard for the historical record and a short-term return on their investment model. The Kuwaitis committed to taking the time necessary to gain an in-depth understanding of what they had, a vision of what they wanted created with those assets, and a longer-term expectation in realizing their economic return. Frankly, I think as I look at this audience, you're the ones that have made the decision that validates their decision. I suspect that as a result, Kiawah has become a model for coastal development, and I personally feel very fortunate to have Mark, Permar, and Frank Brumley here, and we haven't seen each other for 40 years, practically. And they can tell us if I have misread or overstated Kiawah as it was. Thank you.